Hello there, ATS EVS 533 students. This is Dr. John Schragi, and I am giving you now kind of the little overview as to how our class is going to work this semester. As you know by now, we're going to be doing the course completely in an online format with it all pre-recorded and so on, completely run through Blue Line. The reason why we had to do that is because, of course, we weren't able to find a time that all of you were able to meet, and that's okay. Sometimes some of my classes are run via Skype where we all are meeting online at the same time, and some of my courses are run this way where it's all pre-recorded and so on, and both work out just fine. Of course, the reason why we have to do this one either online or via Skype is I don't actually live in Nebraska, I live in Indiana. I actually worked at Creighton, on the site of Creighton, for the first 12 years or so that I was an employee of Creighton. But in the around Christmas of 2013, my job was changed to an online position. About the time my wife, who's a dentist, was able to make a purchase a dental practice in her hometown near Evansville, Indiana. So it all kind of worked out. We were able to move, and she could buy a practice near her parents and her siblings, and I was able to do my online job from here, and it all works out great. We have two children, Xavier, who is in first grade, he just turned 7, and Gabriel, who will be turning 4 next month. And yeah, this is an interesting challenge. It's an interesting challenge to try to find ways to teach courses in a way that works online. So basically the way the course is going to be working is that the course is going to be divided up into what we call 4 modules. Modules is a term that comes to us from the world of online education, and it means something like unit, okay? So think of it as there being 4 units in the class. Each of the units has a different theme, and not only a theme in terms of the topic, but kind of like you're going to be learning about different skills. For example, the first module of the course, which is about monitoring global change and so on, is actually quite descriptive. I mean, basically it's about the observation network and what we learn. What do we know about sea level rise? What do we know about observed temperature increases, changes in greenhouse gas concentrations, and so on, which will be very different than what we do in the second module, which is about the physics of climate change, which is going to be more about like radiation laws and so on, where there'll be more equations, not necessarily a lot of math you have to do, but definitely more equations you have to be aware of and so on. Anyway, so each of the modules is not only different in terms of theme, it's different in terms of the skills that you learn. Now, at the end of each of the 4 modules in this course, there is a test. And the tests are not going to be conducted online. We'll get more information about how the tests work as we get closer, but basically they're on paper, and what you'll do is you'll go to, it'll either be the physics office or the biology office at on a particular day. Let's say we choose, some particular Thursday or something like that, and just go, whenever you have time that day, you'll go over there, and the administrative assistant will get you set up, in a room with a test, okay? So you don't take the tests online. They're closed book, they're all that, etc. Each of the modules is divided up into about 7 or 8 lectures, each of which is associated with a particular day. It's like we are meeting in a traditional class format, it's just that you get to pick the time, okay? But you can't fall behind or anything like that. For each of the 7 or 8 lectures in each module, there's a reading, and then typically there's a quiz that you take on Blue Line about the reading, and it's not huge, maybe 4 questions, 7 questions, something like that, a little multiple choice thing that basically just proves that you did the reading. And then you watch an online lecture. Now, as you're going to see, as you get experience with these online lectures, there's questions embedded in them. I'll be showing you some ways as to how all this works in the next in future videos and so on. But basically, you watch me talk for 5-10 minutes, something like that, and then I pose some questions, and you click on the answers, and it takes you to some response about, oh no, that's not the right answer, or great job, or whatever, and then you move on to the next part of the lecture and so on, and you just work your way through. It's trying to reproduce a classroom experience. You'll also notice that all the pages that have these lectures have lots of links that you can choose, like to talk to me, or send me email, or send me a text, or reach me on Skype, or reach me on Google Hangouts, or whatever. All that information is going to be really helpful. I want you to pick a time that you can watch these lectures that's during daytime business hours, if at all possible, so that if you have a question, just pause the video and call me. Okay? I'm here to answer your questions. You have just as much right to my time in this classroom format as you would have if we were in a traditional classroom, okay? There is no excuse not to get to any questions you have or any confusion you have to get it all sorted out. It's all good. Each of the 4 modules has 2 discussions in it. This is a Creighton thing. Creighton's Office of Online Learning, or whatever they call their office these days, requires that a class that is taught in an online format have these online discussions. And that's conducted through Blue Line. And what it is I provide you with a topic, some questions I want you to address. And first, you write your original post where you answer the questions based on your experience or your knowledge or whatever. And then once everybody's done that, a day or 2 later, you have to go back and respond to the discussions, the posts of at least 2 of your other classmates. And those responses can't be something as simple as like, oh, I agree, or good job, or whatever. They have to actually be like somehow, Creighton requires that those discussion posts advance the discussion. You need to like add to the contribution. You have to provide further examples or counter-examples or post questions to the person who made the original post or whatever in order to receive full credit. And the discussions are graded. You can see on the syllabus how much they're worth. It's in the ballpark of 1/3 of the grade of the course. Okay? For that matter, those little quizzes that you take after each of the readings, they are also graded. But I'm not anticipating those being like a big problem. The questions aren't so much hard. They just basically measure that you actually did the reading. So each of the each of the 4 modules has to have 2 discussions. Again, it's a Creighton thing. They require there to be 8 discussions in the course of the semester. So, like in each one of the modules, you'll have like a discussion. Let's say we're in Module 2. There's discussion 2A, where you do your original post and then later respond. And then the next week, you'll have discussion 2B, and you'll do your original post and response. So you have something you got to do each week. Okay? The course, as you probably know, is a regular 16-week course, what Creighton calls a 16-week course, which is truly bizarre considering that if you actually count them, there's 15 weeks. So that means that our course, if we had a 16-week course, they'd all be exactly 4 weeks long. In practice, the schedule's a little bit complicated. We kind of have to squeeze around Easter, and so on. What I'm telling you is go get the calendar. There's a calendar posted for you on Blue Line near the top of the page that provides the links provides a schedule of when all our stuff is happening, okay? And it also has university things on there, like when is the last day to drop a course, or when is the last day to pick up a course, or things like that, okay? I don't want you to drop the course, but you do need that information as to like when you would have to do that or whatever. Again, I've mentioned it already, but just to go through my little outline here as to what I've got going on here, you do need to stay on schedule, okay? That is like the most important thing on an online course. You don't just get to do this on your own time, you need to stay on the schedule. Okay, you can work ahead if you have some time and you want to do 2 lectures tonight rather than 1 or something. That's up to you. But you can't fall behind. All right, the quizzes are due on the day they're due after each of the readings and so on. You need to stay online. I'll keep you posted of all those kinds of things on email. If you would like to also receive those kind of notifications via text message, make sure you send me your phone number, and I'll be glad to add you to the list that gets those messages. Other than that, though, I think that's all we need for this sort of overview of how the course will work. Go back on Blue Line, make sure you see how all the, the overview of the course and how grading is done and all the course policies and so on. The stuff that's near the top of the page in the Welcome to ATS EVS 533 module. And then we'll be ready to move on and start Module 1.